Awesome. That was a close one. Do you see how fast he was? That was so good. Awesome. Good morning, Journey Church. I'm so glad that we get to spend Sunday together, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're joining us online, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We've got a couple people at least who would normally be here on Sunday, but they're taking some much-needed rest and relaxation today. Pastor Rob and Heather, they promised they'd be watching. Let's just give them a round of applause, some honor. Just want to honor them and their leadership. And, of course, what a blessing it is, right, that we get to know that when we show up on Sunday here, we're going to hear Jesus preached in truth and in love. And Pastor Rob is a main driver of that here. We're so thankful for him. And, of course, if he's taking a break, I know we know it is no mere consolation prize when we do get to hear from our brother Lauren Bickford, right? I mean, come on. I tell you what, it's a privilege. There is no one who reminds me more of the Apostle Paul than Lauren Bickford. I don't know if you've thought that, but I think that every single time. Just a man who loves the truth, and he's just passionate about sharing that truth with others. That's so good. I know he's not here right now, but can we honor Lauren as well? Deacon brother Lauren Bickford. Really thankful for him. And then there's days like today where Pastor Rob invited me to continue our sermon series in Luke 15, and he told me beforehand, man, I am so jealous that you get to teach this passage, and I don't. So I really love this passage. Don't mess it up. I don't know if he said that last part, but it felt like that, because when someone lets you borrow their platform, it's like they're handing you the keys to their Ferrari, right? It's like, don't crash it. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll just keep it between the ditches, so bring it back full, I promise. In all seriousness, though, Pastor Rob, he would not say that this is his platform at all. This is God's platform, and he's just a steward of it, and he just wants to create a space where Jesus can be preached and where we can get to know God a little bit more, and we can get to be a little bit more like Jesus through it, right? And so we're thankful for this space, and that's what we're going to do today. In fact, why don't I just pray, and we'll kick this off. God, thank you so much for this opportunity to open your word. What a privilege that we can just open your Bible, learn more straight from your mouth, and become a little bit more like Jesus every time we do. Thank you so much for that opportunity. I just pray that you'd please get rid of any distractions today in the room, in our minds, in our hearts, and so that we can just hear what you want to share with us today. Amen. All right, so when my wife Kelsey was in second grade, before she was my wife, of course, her big brother was in fifth grade, and he had the opportunity to sing a song that he had prepared in front of the whole elementary school at lunchtime in the gym cafetorium. You know what I'm talking about? Like, how many of you had that room, multi-purpose room? Yeah, it's part cafeteria, part gymnasium, part auditorium, all in one. Some of you remember by the smell, right? The smell, the smell of like square pizza, lime jello, and disappointment. You know the smell. So he had the opportunity to sing this song in front of he'd been working hard, and so he gets up to sing his song, and Kelsey is there, and she is so proud of him. He's singing, and she's like, oh man, he worked so hard on this. He's going to be the most popular kid in school. Everyone's going to love him. He's doing such a good job. He's so talented. I'm so proud of my big brother. Sweet, right? And then he finishes the song, and everyone claps, and she's standing. She's so proud of her big brother, and she looks over at her table, and there's some friends at her table who are just kind of like laughing among themselves and kind of just like making fun of him and his performance. And she gets so mad. She points her little finger and she says, you're just jealous because you don't have the guts to do what he did. You're just jealous because he worked so hard and he's doing something you could never do. And if you really knew him, you wouldn't say that. Have you ever been in that position where someone you know and you loved was just being, I don't know, maybe misunderstood or misrepresented, and you just feel like if you knew the person like I know the person, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't do those things. Well, Jesus was in that position, and we're going to read about it in Luke chapter 15. In Luke chapter 15, we've got another run-in with the Pharisees. Okay, now we've dealt with the Pharisees before here, right? They're the most religious of the religious. They're the God experts of Jesus' day. Okay, so like if you wanted to know what God was like, you would look at the Pharisees. You'd see how they dress, you listen to how they talk, listen to how they pray, see how they treat people. That's how people would understand what God is like. That's what the Pharisees tried to do. They memorized all the laws, they tried to keep all the laws as best they could, and they made sure everyone else followed all the laws so they could keep God happy. And yeah, as far as they were concerned, the Pharisees represented God here on earth, okay? And they thought so. They made sure everyone else thought so. And so when Jesus comes along and says things like, he's the Son of God, these God experts are like, oh, Son of God, huh? Well, we'll be the judge of that, because they're a judge of everything. And so they start following him around. They start listening to what he's saying. They're eavesdropping on his conversations. They're watching what he does, what he says, what his disciples do and say. They're just trying to find something that they can use to just discredit him, right? Because here's the thing. Jesus was getting kind of popular with people. People were going to Jesus to hear more about what God was like and not them, and that's a problem. So they're like, if we can just find something that we can use to just dismiss him and tell people, look, you can ignore what this guy says. He's crazy. You don't need to pay attention to him. He's not from God. They wanted to find something like that. Okay, well, actually, it didn't take them that long to find something that they could use. They're like, all right, get this. Here's what they found. Say, hey, guys, check this out. This Jesus, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Oh, boom. Got him. Case closed, nailed it. Okay, I get it. You might be like, what's the big deal with that? I mean, maybe Jesus, the people he hangs out with aren't everyone's cup of tea, but, maybe he's just a nice guy, right? Like, what's the big deal with that? Here's the big deal with that is because if Jesus was really, hold on. Here's, the Pharisees had this belief that it was core to how they treated people, and it's how they viewed other people and viewed God. This was core to their belief. The Pharisees believed that it brings great joy. There is joy before God when those who provoke him perish from the world. That's what they believed. There's joy before God when those who provoke him perish from the world. So, if Jesus was really of God like he said he was, he would know that these people, these sinners he hangs out with, these tax collectors and prostitutes and adulterers, these people with a really big, obvious sin in their life, he would know that they provoke God with their very being, the things they do and they say, and he wouldn't eat with them and welcome them. No, he would want them to perish because that's what brings joy to God. That's what they believed. So Jesus, he knows this. He hears this. He knows their thoughts. And he's just like, if you really knew God like I know God, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't do that. If you want to talk about what brings joy to God, I'll tell you what brings joy to God. And then he told these parables. Okay, we're going to take a look at these. Now, we've worked with parables before, right? Remember, parables are stories where the different elements in the story represent something else that we can, in real life. And they can be kind of confusing. Jesus taught in parables all the time. And it can be kind of confusing for us reading them because, two reasons. One, they were confusing for the people he was talking to, too. By the way, that's intentional, right? Jesus actually used these parables that confused people because, why? You can react one of two different ways when you're confused by a parable like this. One, you could be like, huh? What? All right, that's weird. I don't know. Whatever. I'll move on. Right? And you just walk away and never really engage with it. That's one reaction. The other reaction is, what? Hold on. And then you dig in and you start wrestling with it a little bit. And you ask some questions. You get to know Jesus a little bit. And then through that process, you get to know Jesus more. You get to become a little bit more like him. And that's the whole point in the first place. Okay? So they can be confusing. That's intentional. The other reason they can be confusing for us nowadays is because Jesus was talking to a bunch of farmers and fishermen and shepherds, okay? And that's just who was around at the time. And we don't live in that agricultural society anymore. So when he uses word pictures about like plants and animals, maybe it's a little bit hard to relate to that. But here's the thing, is that it's an important thing to remember about parables is they are not primarily about us. Okay, they're primarily answering the question, what is God really like? That's why Jesus used parables. They all boil down to answering the question, what is God really like? You want to know what brings joy to God? I'll tell you what brings joy to God. Let me tell you what God is really like. Boom, enter this parable. All right, let's read this first parable together. And I tell you what, as I read this from Luke chapter 15, verses 4 through 7, as I read this, can we do something together? Every time I say the word joy or a word related to that, like rejoice or joyful or something like that, can we cheer at that word just so we can hear and experience what that sound is like? Let's just practice real quick. Joy. All right, that's pretty good. It's kind of like before Joy had its coffee in the morning. I mean, that's okay. It's okay. What about like rejoice? Oh, okay. Great. All right, let's do this. I'll read, and then we'll react every time one of those words comes up. All right, Luke 15, 4 through 7. If a man has 100 sheep, and one of them gets lost, what'll he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that's lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he'll joyfully, carry it home on his shoulders. And when he arrives, he'll call together his friends and his neighbors saying, rejoice with me, because I found my lost sheep. And in the same way, there's more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. All right, so we're not too familiar with shepherds nowadays. Any shepherds in the house today? Anybody? Whoop whoop. Or ba ba. I don't know what you say. Anyone know a shepherd? Okay, great. 1, 2. Okay, so here's the thing. Back in Jesus' day, shepherds were usually hired workers, okay? They didn't own the sheep. They weren't their sheep. Some rich guy owned the sheep, and then he would pay a shepherd to protect his investments. That's how it worked. Okay, and so as is the case with any hired labor, you have good shepherds, and you have bad shepherds. And the bad shepherds, they'd be like on their phones, sitting on the rock wall, just like, every once in a while, they'd like look up and do a head count, like, all right, oh no, we missed one. Oh boy, one got away. All right, well, hashtag wolf attack. Hashtag shepherd life. Like, it's a bad shepherd. This shepherd, this is a good shepherd. This shepherd had a mission. No sheep left behind. That was his mission. If you run a business, or maybe you know it about the business that you work for, you know the importance of having a mission statement. It's clear, it's concise, it's what you're here to do. It's your purpose for being here. And Journey Church has a mission statement. Anyone know it off the top of your head? Oh, it's a pop quiz on Sunday morning. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'll help you out. It's reach his world, show his compassion, build his church, right? Clear, concise, it's what we're here to do. Here's a question. Do you have a mission statement for your life? Like, have you spent the time to think about that and write it down, like what you're here to do, what you want to accomplish? Or are you just going to kind of wander through life and maybe, I don't know, whatever happens and, end up somewhere, right? Do you have a mission statement for your marriage, for your family? If not, maybe you have some homework this week. But Jesus had a mission statement. Luke 19:10, he says, I have come to seek and save the lost. Mission statement. It's good. Sound familiar? Sounds like the shepherd in this story, right? Jesus was a good shepherd. So, what happens when Jesus comes, or when the shepherd comes to seek and save the lost? There's a celebration. There's a party. They rejoice. Awesome. And so in this story, we have a circumstance, we've got a search, and we've got a celebration. I just want to dig into these a little bit more here. First of all, the circumstance is what? The circumstance is the sheep was kind of dumb. I don't know, just kind of wandered away. It was, I don't know, maybe it was like very focused on where it was right now. It's like, oh, this grass is good. Oh, this grass looks good. Just very focused on what's here and doesn't really look up to see where it is. And then maybe it does look up and say, oh, look at that. Oh, that looks like a nice place to be. And then on the way there gets distracted. Oh, look at this. This is a nice place to be. That person looks nice. And then all of a sudden it kind of comes to his senses and it's like, wait a minute, this is not where I wanted to be at all. I don't, it's lost. If you're being honest, do you maybe feel that way? Like, it's not like I just feel far from God and I don't really know why. I don't really, like, it's not like I wanted to or tried to. I don't know. I just look around honestly now and I'm like, how did I get here? Like, what am I, like, I don't even know how to get back to where I want to be. I just feel lost. Well, fortunately for you, there's a search. Meanwhile, there's a search here. The shepherd, he left the other sheep to go into the wilderness himself and try to bring back this lost sheep. He knows the land, he knows the terrain, he knows what would distract the sheep, and maybe he can kind of follow that track. He looks for clues. He calls out to the sheep because the sheep should know his voice. He calls out to the sheep. He listens for the sheep in case the sheep calls to him, and he tracks down and he finds the sheep. And then what happens when he finds the sheep? Like, there you are, stupid sheep. Get over here, you dumb sheep. You walked all the way out here, you come walk all the way back. No. Did you see what happens? He picks the sheep up and carries it back on his shoulders. He knows that it's been a long journey. Its feet are tired, and maybe he fell in a pit. The terrain's been rough. He's going to carry it back to safety. That's a good shepherd. And then when he does, what does he do? He celebrates with his friends. He's saying, hey, guys, remember that sheep that wandered off? I went and I looked for it. I found it, and I brought it back. Come celebrate with me. That's so good. That's what God's really like. That's what God's like. You're like, Mike, I don't know. That doesn't really relate to me. Okay, hey, that's fine. I got another one. Jesus isn't done yet. Got another parable. Let's try this one. Luke 15, 8 through 10. Again, as I say the word joy or rejoice, why don't you rejoice with me here? Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and sweep the entire house and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she'll call her friends and neighbors and say, rejoice with me because I've found my lost coin. And in the same way, there is joy in the presence of God's angels when even one sinner repents. You start to see a pattern here, start to see a theme. There's a circumstance, there's a search, there's a celebration. What's the circumstance? Okay, we've got this silver coin here, and it belonged to the wife and this woman who she probably wore it on a string with the other coins. That's just how they kept their savings safe back then. And then something went wrong. Something like somehow she just lost it, and she doesn't have a whole lot of money to spare. She's not really rich, so like it kind of popped off whatever was keeping it safe and secure, and it landed on the floor, and it didn't go like a ding, 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 so you can maybe see, oh, it went this way. No, because her floor is dirt. It's dust. And she probably doesn't have windows in the house, and so you can't even look for like, oh, maybe we can find something shiny. No, it's dark. And so somehow this coin is who knows where, dirty, dusty, in the dark, lost. It's not like the shepherd story. The coin just didn't wander off. It just was like a victim of circumstance, I guess, like just circumstances beyond its control, and the thing that kept it safe and secure once just kind of broke. Maybe it was a weak connection in the first place. Maybe that sounds familiar to you. Like if it weren't for that traumatic experience back then, maybe things would be different. Maybe if it weren't for that relationship that you loved and you trusted, if they didn't break that trust, if they didn't fail you in that way, then maybe you wouldn't be here. But as it is, you just feel like some circumstance beyond your control made it so you just feel like lost, in the dark, dirty. And you start to question your value, like, am I even worth it anymore? And maybe I'm not even worth looking for and saving. Listen, if you're feeling that this morning, let me tell you something first about this coin before we move on, because this is important. This coin, the silver coin, is a Greek coin called the drachma. And the drachma was stamped with the face of the emperor on it. Okay? This coin was valuable because the king said it was valuable. You are valuable because the king says you are valuable. You bear the image of the king. That's why you're valuable. You cannot lose your value just because you're lost and in the dark and in the dust. That coin was still valuable. You're valuable because the king says you're valuable and he is searching for you. Let's check out the search. I like how Jesus says, like, won't she light a lamp and sweep the entire house and search carefully until she finds it? Like, duh, obviously she's going to light up the whole room and she's going to, like, look under furniture and flip the whole house upside down looking for it. Picture Jen Wolforth with her, like, flashlight on her phone, looking to, like, moving under furniture and, like, sweeping and everything. And I'm going to find this. Right? This is the woman lights a lamp. John 8:12 says, Jesus says, I am the light of the world. God sent his son Jesus, who is fully God, to light up our world to make this search even possible. And he became like us. He got down in the dirt, down in the mess, looking for us, and he won't stop until he finds us. He turned the whole world upside down. And then the woman finds it. She has this celebration. She says to her friends, rejoice with me. That's awesome. It's the same thing in heaven. Jesus says the same thing in heaven. That's what God's like. Okay, now I admit, I've known these stories for a while, and I've always been able to kind of relate to the first parts of the story. Like, I mean, how many of you have lost something before in your life? Yeah, like pretty much everybody, right? How many of you have, you've looked for it, right? And for the most, and you found something before, right? You found what not every time I get it, but you usually find what you're looking for. I can always relate to that, but I've never, I don't know about you, but I've never like had a party, invited friends over to celebrate like, hey guys, I lost my keys and I found them. Like, woo, come celebrate, let's have a party. Like, I don't know. Man, I just thought that was like what people in the olden days did because fun hadn't been invented yet. So like, but nowadays we've got other options. So I didn't really fully understand what that would be like until I found a video. Now, before we play this video, I got to tell you, this is kind of like a modern day parable. It's kind of a modern day retelling of this. And I have to warn you though, it may disturb some of you. This video contains real life footage of Yankees fans being happy. I know. If it triggers you, you may need to step out for a minute. But let's play this video and check out this modern day parable based on this real life story here.
There was a couple on the scoreboard in center field where the guy asked the young lady to marry him, took out the ring, and the ring dropped, and they could not find it. And they're looking now under the chairs. Well, they've got a story.
Yeah. Maybe somehow he can come up with
look at this poor guy.
Maybe he can come up with a save somehow.
He needs Mariano to come in for the save.
Yeah, he does. Wait a minute. They're smiling. Yeah!
He found it!
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. He's on one knee. That is awesome. Oh, she better say yeah now. Oh, that poor guy. Congratulations.
Isn't that good? Did you see like that we had a circumstance, we had a search and a celebration. The circumstance was this guy went down to propose to his girlfriend. He drops the ring in Yankee Stadium, and then we have a search. Did you see the search that was going on? There was like the people with their flashlight phone, the flashlights on, and one lady was like, did you see like looking through the popcorn bucket? And they're like all like looking under the seats. Have you been to a stadium? Do you know what's under the seats? You got like sticky spilled beer. You've got chewed gum. You've got people's trash. It's so gross. But they didn't care. They were going to go find that ring. And when they did the celebration, that was awesome. Guys, if Yankees fans can search until they find something and celebrate with each other that they found it. Imagine what God can do. God will search and he will keep searching. He'll get in the mess and he'll just keep getting in it until he finds it, and then he throws a party. Oh, it's so good. So, okay, maybe you're like, okay, Mike, that's great. That's a fun story. That's great and all. I don't know. I didn't wander off. I didn't just, oops, all of a sudden now I'm far from God. I'm lost now. No, he's like, you might be like, well, I said peace out to God long ago. I said, screw you, God. And I don't even know why I'm here in church this morning. Like, you should probably run away because I feel like the roof is going to cave in on me. Okay, if that's you right now, I promise the roof is not going to cave in. Remember what God's really like, I'll tell you. I'm glad you're here. Let's check this out. Jesus has another parable for us to check out here. Luke 15, 11 through 31. To illustrate this point further, because Jesus knows, look, all right, you may not relate to that one or that one. Here, try this one. Check this out. Jesus told them this story. A man had 2 sons. The younger son told his father, I want my share of your estate now before you die. Whoa, okay, hold up. He's basically saying, I wish you were dead. Like, I'm tired of living under your house. I'm tired of living under your rules. Can we just skip to the part where you die and I take your money? Yikes, okay. So, his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land, and there he wasted his money in wild living. And about the time his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, man, at home, even the hired servants have enough food to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I'll go home to my father and say, Father, I've sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. So he returned home to his father. Pause right there. What do you think will happen? Yeah, maybe you know the story. Maybe you know how it ends. Maybe you don't. If you do, pretend you don't. What do you think the father's reaction would be based on your experience with fathers? It might be like, what? Right. Well, look who finally came home, right? Well, it's possible, right? It's possible. Or like if we're writing this into a movie or something, we might write like the last scene of like Willy Wonka, where Charlie comes back in and Willy Wonka's like, you get nothing, you lose, good day, sir. It could be, right? It could be like that. I don't know. Let's keep reading and see what happens. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. You get that? Well, he was still a long way off. His father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, Father, I've sinned against both heaven and you. I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. But his father said to his servants, quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on and get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet and kill the calf we've been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. Nice job. For this son of mine was dead and he's now returned to life. He was lost, but now he's found. So the party began. Okay. If you're worried about what God's going to do when you admit that you've messed up, 2 things. First of all, he already knows. Like, you're not going to tell him something he doesn't already know. 2, it sounds like you're kind of stuck in some religious thinking. Because religion would say, oh man, I messed up. My dad's going to kill me. That's religious thinking. Man, I messed up. My dad's going to kill me. The Pharisees, they were masters of religion. They got the religion down. And so they were like, oh, man. They lived their life as if, oh, man, if I mess up, God's going to kill me. And so that's why they memorized all the laws. They even wrote new laws so that if they obeyed those or disobeyed those laws, then at least they weren't disobeying the laws that God gave Moses originally. And they kept everyone to that standard of obey not just those laws, but all these laws. And we're going to keep God happy this way. If we mess up, God's going to kill us. That's religion. And Jesus came and he said, no, stop, get out of here with your religion. Stop all that. Listen, I'm here to tell you, God wants a relationship with you. And if religion is, I messed up, Dad's going to kill me, a relationship is, man, I messed up. I got to talk to my dad. That's a relationship. The son, the religion is just like fearfully avoiding consequences and doing everything you can to get favor back with God. And so the son, he was practicing his whole monologue that he was going to do when he got back, and he has this whole plan of winning favor back with his father. That's religion. But then when he got back to his father, he realized he never lost favor in the first place. That's a relationship. And not only was he just welcomed back, but the father said, hey, he gave him a robe to wear, which is what you would give the guest of honor in your house. He gave him a ring, and that gave him authority and standing in the family. He put sandals on his feet. Slaves didn't wear sandals. And he sacrificed the fattened calf. What's God really like? I'll tell you what God's really like. God has never rejected you, even if you rejected him. He's been waiting. He's been preparing a party for you. He's not forgotten about you. He's been preparing a party so that specifically for the day you return, that he can say, whoa, my son's come back. And you might be like, oh man, I just screwed up so bad. He's going to be, shut up, stop, listen, I love you so much. Hey, put this robe on your back that you turned away when you left. Put this ring on your middle finger that you flicked when you walked out at the door. Put these sandals on your feet that walked away from home. Hey, you sacrificed the fattened calf. The what? Yeah, the fattened calf. You remember the one that when on day one when my son left, I said, you feed that calf every single day. Get it ready. Don't give up, because as long as my son's out there, I'm not giving up hope, and he's going to come back, and we're going to have a party when he does. That's what God's like. Remember, the parables answer the question, what is God really like? So we call it the parable of the lost sheep. But really, it's the parable of the searching shepherd who carries back the sheep on his shoulders. We call it the parable of the lost coin, but really, isn't it the parable of the working woman who sweeps away all the dirt and the mess and just turns the whole world upside down, and shining a light to make the search even possible? And how about the parable of the lost son? It's really a parable of the faithful father who's been planning a party for you ever since you willfully rejected him, waiting for the day that you would willfully come back home. Hey, you think it brings God joy? It's close. You think it brings God joy when those who provoke him perish? Nah, I'll tell you what God's really like. It brings God joy when those who are lost come back to him. What's God really like? He is searching, he is working, and he is faithful. That's what God's really like. By the way, this parable of the lost son, sometimes it's called the parable of the prodigal son. You've heard that, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I had never really heard the word prodigal outside of this context, right? Like, it's not really a vocabulary word we use all that often, except for talking about this story. And so for the longest time, I thought that prodigal just meant like, a kid who goes off and spends their money and they make bad decisions and they ruin their life. Like I thought that was like what it meant to be prodigal. But no, you're not. I don't know if you've checked this out, but if you look it up in the dictionary, the word prodigal literally means spending money or resources freely and recklessly, wastefully extravagant, or having or giving something on a lavish scale. Did the son spend recklessly and lavishly and freely? Yeah, he was a prodigal son. But who else does this remind you of in this story? The father. Remember, he spent money freely and recklessly. He gave something on a lavish scale. Remember, parables aren't ultimately about us. They're about God. What is God really like? This isn't just about the prodigal son. This is about the prodigal father. What's God really like? He's like a father who opens the resources of heaven to celebrate when you come back home to him. He's prodigal. He's reckless. Remember, we just sang the song about the reckless love. I know when that song first came out, people were like, reckless love. I can't get behind that. I can't imagine God being reckless. But then I feel sorry for you because you don't realize that God recklessly goes out of his way to find you and bring you back home and just spends everything he possibly has on this grand party with all the angels to celebrate you when you come back. So that's what God is really like. That's what God's really like. So now what? Well, Christians, it's our responsibility to show what God is really like. But better yet, take it a step further. We need to demonstrate what God is like by the way we treat people. We represent God. We're Christians. Christ is literally in our title. So we have to show people what God is really like. But Mike, they posted an article. Mike, they shared a meme. They made a comment on my Bible verse post, and they were really mean. They were mean about God. Yeah, I believe it. They probably were. People provoke God all the time. It's probably nothing he hasn't heard before. But if God doesn't want to see them perish, why do you? Let's show them what God is really like. We can be God's mouthpiece even in that situation. Because, spoiler alert, you already are God's mouthpiece. People expect Christians to speak on behalf of God. That's part of the problem that we have found ourselves in today when we don't do that well. Remind ourselves what God is really like. How do we do that? We read the Bible. God's telling us what he's really like. And let's show that to people so that they can find the love and the joy of God. That's what we're called to do. Show people what God is really like. Now, of course, that's for the Christians here. Those are people who said, yeah, I'm going to follow Jesus. But there may be other people here. You might just feel like you kind of wandered away. Like, I don't know. I don't really know how. I just feel far from God. It's been a long, painful road. Maybe you don't know your next best step. Listen, you have a searching shepherd of a God. Call out to him. He'll hear you, and he'll carry you back home. Maybe you feel like that coin that just kind of got ripped away from safety. And that trauma, that situation that happened back then, you just feel like you're kind of on this, just been spiraling, and you couldn't stop it if you wanted to, and you feel dirty, and you feel in the dark, and you don't even feel valuable to anyone. You just wonder if you're even worth searching for now. You have a working God who shined his light into the world and is moving heaven and earth to bring you back. Just trust him. I know it's hard. Trust him that he's good and that he'll never let you go. And of course, you could have given God the middle finger long ago, and people who call themselves Christians maybe made you feel less than for your choices. And maybe you had a pretty good run doing life your own way for a little bit, but now it's just, I don't know, you just feel a little bit more empty. Like the things that used to make you happy just don't make you feel happy anymore, and just feel kind of like, this is not where I want to be. This is not how I planned this. Guess what? You have a faithful Father. You might go to him. He's waiting. You might be like, I don't feel like, why would he even want me? Like, he is faithful. He loves you. He hasn't forgotten about you. You don't have to do anything to earn his favor back. He's right where he was. You'll be like, I need to like clean myself up. My life's a mess. No. He has new clothes for you. Go back to him, and when you do, he's been feeding that calf ever since he said, one day my son's gonna come back. One day my daughter's gonna come back. I'm never gonna give up hope. One day I'm gonna hug him. One day we're gonna talk. One day we're gonna have a relationship, and I'm gonna be right here when he's ready. That's what God's really like. If you relate to any of these stories, you got to know what God's really like. You can talk to him. He wants to hear from you. If you're not sure what to say to him, I understand that can be a little bit tricky at first. How about I walk with you through this? And let's all close our eyes together as we pray. And if you relate to one of those, like a sheep or a coin or that sun, I'll speak these words. You just kind of reflect them in your own heart, and God hears your heart and knows your thoughts. And let me just walk you through these next steps. You can pray something like this to yourself: God, I feel lost. It takes a lot to kind of even admit that, but I just know I've messed up. Or I feel like I've been abandoned. I feel so far from you, and I've made some bad choices here and there for sure. And I know that breaks your heart. But I'm going to choose to believe that you are looking for me. You haven't given up hope on me. You love me. Can you please come find me? I know I'm just going to trust that you're good, even though my life hasn't been, even though some people in my life haven't been. I just trust that you're good. I'm sorry for the ways I've messed up. I just want to do life your way. I'm tired of doing this on my own. If you prayed that with me or something like that, if that's where you're at today, would you just be willing to, as just a first step, just let me know? No one's looking. Can you just raise your hand real quick and just say, I prayed that? I see several hands. Thank you so much. You can put your hand down here. Thank you. So hey, several hands went up. Guys, can we, what do we do? What do we do? Now that someone's come home, they've taken that first step, how do we react as Christians? That was real weak compared to what God's doing. It's all right. I don't expect you to react like God. That's okay. I'll just say to those people who raise their hands, and if you're still closing your eyes, you can open them now. I'll just say to those people who raise their hands, I am so excited for the life that you have in store for you. You don't have to be wandering the wilderness anymore. You don't have to be in the dark, in the dust, forgotten anymore. You don't have to be craving for pig slop when your Father has a banquet ready. Does it mean that your life is going to be painless from now on? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Talk to anyone here who said, yeah, I became a Christian. They're going to tell you that, no, life is still hard. But the difference is now you are part of God's family. You're like, what does that mean? I don't know. Here, but don't leave here today without talking to someone. You're like, what, do I just talk to someone next to me? No. And in fact, we're going to go out these doors here in just a little bit here at the end, and talk to Jerry and Judy. Are you going to be out there? Okay, right here to the left. Talk to Jerry and Judy. They've got some materials for you to read. They're gonna hug you, unless you don't want to be hugged. In which case, hey, they won't. But they're gonna talk to you about some next steps. Okay, so don't leave here and just say, oh, that was a nice thing I did in that church that one time. No, this is a relationship with Jesus. It's not even necessarily a relationship with this church, although we would be honored to be considered your family and meet together regularly. But it's a relationship with Jesus, and we just want to make sure that you feel equipped to do that today. Cool? Wow. I'm going to pray one more time, and then I will clear the platform here, and we can continue celebrating today. I would just like to pray and just give God some real glory and honor. Can we celebrate one more time? In the spirit of celebration, we have to celebrate what God's doing, celebrate that bold first step that these people took. Awesome, let's pray. God, oh, you're so good. And I thank you for these 5 or 6, 7 people who raised their hands today, and that they didn't, coming in here, didn't really know what to expect, but now they just are, boom, smacked in the face with your goodness and just realized, like, all right, I can't keep going. I can't keep going the way I've been going. God, I need you. And I pray that you'd, God, please, like you promised, carry them safely back to the family. And we are envious of the party that you get to have in heaven today. We just like to take a small part of that celebration here with us and are so thankful for these people. I pray that you please take care of them, connect them with some awesome people, some awesome relationships as they can get to know more about Jesus through you and through your word. Thank you for all you've done here today. I pray that you please protect us as we go out today and enjoy this day and this week. And whatever you have for us, please strengthen us to be able to represent you well and show people what you're really like. We love you. Amen.